Stretching across the vast fields and silent forests of Australia, the wild donkeys living freely have become an inseparable part of the natural landscape here. Originally imported from other countries in the 1800s for transportation and labor, these donkeys have adapted to the harsh environment and become a characteristic wildlife species of the continent. Their presence not only marks the history of exploration and development, but also poses a challenge to the current ecological balance. Wild donkeys in Australia face numerous issues, from competing for resources with native species to pressures from human activities such as agriculture and urban development. Authorities and conservationists are striving to find solutions to manage the wild donkey population, aiming to minimize their negative impact on the ecosystem and ensure biodiversity. The debate between conservation and population control requires careful consideration of ecological, social, and economic aspects, reflecting the complexity of the environmental issues that Australia is facing. In today's video, we'll face a unique challenge from the land down under: how to manage nearly 6 million feral donkeys roaming freely across fields and grasslands. We will explore the management methods, the challenges that farmers face, and the impacts these wild herds have on the surrounding environment. Join us as we delve into creative initiatives and equally intense controversies in this battle. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss any videos from Nature Farm, where we always bring you inspiring and informative content. Now let's begin our journey to discover how Australian farmers cope with the feral donkey population. Donkeys were first imported into Australia in 1866 to assist horse teams in transportation and carrying tasks in remote areas. In the arid and hot climate of the outback, horses frequently encountered health problems, whereas donkeys, with their robust constitutions and superior digestive systems, adapted much better to the harsh conditions. This made them a valuable resource for moving and transporting goods across vast areas like Western and Central Australia in the late 19th century. At that time, fencing animals was not a common practice in the outback due to the vast land area and a lack of necessary building materials. As a result, many donkeys were released or escaped when no longer needed for work. With an annual breeding capability, unlike the biennial cycle of horses, the population of wild donkeys grew uncontrollably and began to integrate into the wild environment in the early 20th century. The development of transport technologies, such as cars and trucks in the early 1920s, gradually replaced the role of donkeys in labor. However, just 30 years after the appearance of wild donkey herds, they had proliferated to the extent that the Australian government had to recognize them as a pest species in Western Australia. Currently, it is estimated that up to 5 million wild donkeys live in Australia, although accurately counting this number poses significant economic and practical challenges. The uncontrolled increase in the wild donkey population has led to numerous ecological and environmental issues. Along with other non-native animal species, they cause land disturbance and water pollution, spread unwanted seeds, destroy native vegetation, and damage infrastructure. Additionally, the presence of wild donkeys poses a risk of spreading new diseases that could harm domesticated animals, thus impacting livestock industries and biodiversity conservation efforts. Understanding the migration behaviors and habitats of domestic animals like horses and donkeys has become essential. Grasslands and bush areas, ideal for livestock grazing, also attract diseases like African horse sickness and tick fever. Consequently, farmers often have to relocate their herds to new areas once the food supply at a specific location is depleted. Some livestock can travel up to 50 kilometers in search of new food without needing a water source during this period. This migration process is not only a physical challenge for the animals, but can also strain nearby water sources, especially during droughts. The lack of safe shelters can lead to severe degradation of the local ecosystem, particularly affecting native plants and animals at risk of completely disappearing from these areas. Malnutrition and food scarcity in arid regions, such as the Northern Territory, have led many horses and donkeys to face starvation risks. In some cases, releasing these animals can be seen as a humane measure to alleviate their suffering. A common mistake is not clearly distinguishing between wildlife and invasive species. Wildlife often includes animals that were once domesticated or belonged to farms, while invasive species are non-native and can cause serious environmental issues. For instance, in Australia, some wild horses and donkeys actually originated from farms. In this context, capturing and retraining these animals to support livestock activities, such as protecting sheep and goats in large open spaces, is necessary. Animal control campaigns, conducted using helicopters and other modern means, help reduce stress on the animals and prevent environmental damage. Australia's meat industry primarily focuses on producing beef, lamb, and pork, which are more familiar and accessible than horse or donkey meat. Although horse and donkey meat are popular in some countries and used in products like salami in France and Italy, many Australians still shy away from consuming meat from animals that have been companions for centuries. Therefore, this unfamiliar meat industry has yet to gain widespread acceptance in Australia due to current social attitudes and culture. In the next part of our video, we'll explore how Australians have dealt with millions of wild rabbits. In 1859, Thomas Austin, an English immigrant settled in Australia, imported 24 rabbits from England for the purpose of sport hunting during the Christmas season. He aimed to recreate the hunting experiences from his homeland, but did not foresee the ecological consequences of this action. Unfortunately, in the new environment, some rabbits escaped and proliferated without natural predators. Australia's mild conditions, unlike the European climate, provided an ideal setting for the rabbits to thrive. They not only had abundant food sources, but also faced fewer natural predators. Within less than 70 years, the rabbit population grew from the initial 24 to millions by the 1920s and was estimated to be around 10 billion by the mid-20th century. The rabbit population explosion not only affected the native ecosystem, but also caused significant damage to agriculture and the natural environment. Rabbits created complex burrow networks, known as warrens, which eroded the soil and destroyed vegetation. They consumed all types of plants from grass to seedlings, depleting the food sources of other species and pushing some to the brink of extinction. Faced with this severe situation, the Australian government implemented several measures to control the rabbit plague. Efforts included building fences over 2,100 miles long to prevent the spread of rabbits and using traps and extensive hunting. However, these measures could not keep up with the rabbit's breeding rate. By 1950, a biological solution was introduced by spreading a virus called myxomatosis, which caused a disease similar to smallpox in humans, reducing the rabbit population by up to 90%. Scientists later developed the RHDV virus, an even more potent control measure that rapidly killed rabbits. Although their numbers significantly decreased, rabbits still covered up to 70% of Australia's land area. They not only became a threat, but also an important food source during economic crises like the recessions of the 1890s and 1930s. And during wartime, the rabbit meat industry grew, especially at projects like Kingston, where rabbit meat was produced in large quantities for both domestic and international markets, with a production rate of at least 3,000 rabbits per day. However, the development of the rabbit control virus changed the Australians' approach to rabbit meat, making it less favored as a dish, particularly in a context with many alternative choices and ethical concerns regarding meat consumption. Not only do wild rabbits pose a challenge, but farmers must also start their day facing another formidable adversary, the battle against fox invasions. Foxes, solitary and opportunistic hunters, have become the main characters in many farmers' headaches due to their flexible and dangerous hunting abilities. Foxes use their sharp, pencil-like claws and precise hunting skills, combined with their razor-sharp teeth, ready to tear apart prey in an instant. This makes foxes a serious threat to the peaceful life on livestock farms, especially in areas near forests or wild terrains where they frequently appear and attack livestock, particularly chickens, often found motionless on the ground after these assaults. The presence of foxes poses not only a danger to livestock, but also a challenge to social welfare. Foxes have expanded their territory from forests to residential areas, viewing these as part of their hunting grounds. They even appear on streets and break into homes. This becomes more alarming when foxes start attacking humans, leading to brutal and chaotic assaults. In a recent event, a woman faced the ferocity of a fox. Although she tried to escape, the fox seemed relentless. Fortunately, she survived, but the physical and psychological aftermath still haunts her daily, including feelings of fear and pain. To control the fox population, Australian farmers have employed effective and user-friendly traps. These traps, reusable and designed to meet the size and weight requirements of foxes, are simple to set, yet require strategic placement and caution. Farmers need to choose optimal locations for placing traps to maximize capture rates, often on routes frequently used by foxes. Through these methods, Australian farmers have achieved significant results in controlling and minimizing the destruction foxes cause to agriculture. In a recent study conducted by the Australian government, a significant reduction in the fox population was recorded, with an estimated decrease of about 30% over the past 5 years. This is mainly attributed to the implementation of control measures such as trapping. These traps are not only effective in reducing fox numbers, but also contribute to protecting the agricultural environment effectively. However, the process of eradicating these invasive foxes needs to be carried out carefully, adhering strictly to trapping regulations to ensure safety for humans and other animal species. Additionally, fox hunting is also a method employed by many Australian farmers. The initial shots not only mark the beginning of the battle to protect crops, but are also seen as a recreational activity and simultaneously an important tool for controlling the fox population, especially in agricultural regions in New South Wales and Victoria, where foxes often harm farms. The uncontrolled increase in fox numbers can pose major threats to the food chain, including the decline in livestock numbers and impacts on food sources for other predatory species. The overgrowth of the fox population also creates significant pressure on the local environment, affecting ecological balance and the biosphere. These challenges require wildlife managers and farmers to seek creative and effective control solutions. In reality, foxes are an important component of the Australian ecosystem, but this balance is easily disrupted if their numbers rise excessively. This not only harms the livestock industry, but also affects other predatory species. Foxes are capable of preying on various prey from mice, rabbits to birds, further complicating control efforts. Additionally, a study in Wales also indicates that during the summer, sheep become an important food source for foxes, posing a challenge for sheep farmers in Australia in protecting their grazing areas. These efforts not only help protect farms, but also maintain ecological balance. Control measures, from trapping to hunting, are carried out with the hope that the development of the fox population can be effectively addressed, minimizing damage and protecting valuable agricultural resources. As darkness gradually enveloped the forest outskirts, a habitat frequently visited by foxes, a vehicle carrying hunters ventured deep into the area. In their hands, they carried sophisticated hunting equipment, ready for a dramatic night of hunting. Their plan commenced by moving along the fences surrounding the farm and fields. One hunter, skilled in mimicking the call of a fox, successfully lured the animal closer. After hours of patience and relentless effort, a fox finally emerged. This method proved significantly effective in attracting foxes under the challenging and complex conditions of nighttime hunting. To succeed in this activity, the hunters needed the ability to move flexibly across various terrains, from open plains to dense forests. Physical fitness was also crucial, allowing them to carry heavy equipment over long distances and stalk for hours on end. Hunting at night offered an advantage as the fox